I mean, I think up until probably a couple of days before, he expected to get better. He was determined to get better.
And you'd ask him, and he'd say, "Oh, look, don't you worry about me." He'll say, "You'll be in that ground before I will." I know that he would have just felt that he was gonna beat it.
And he'd always kept his sense of humour. They were a very close family. They were poor just because of circumstances, but John and his two sisters, Sylvia and Doreen, were very close indeed, and very close to their parents. They didn't have money. They lived in a caravan for years. I used to say, look, we were the poorest people in the street, but at the same time they had a lot of fun.
They were very poor. They didn't have a lot of money. And so he said to his sister, he said, "How about we go to the movie?" And she said, "Well, how? We've got no money." He said, "Don't you worry about that." He said, "I want you to meet me at this church at a certain time." They met at the church and they were behind these bushes. And apparently in those days it was a tradition, when the wealthy people got married, what they would do is they drove off in the cart, they would throw money out of the cart. And there'd be women there with their aprons trying to catch all the money. So John goes there with his sister and he said, "As soon as I tell you, go out there and grab as much as you can." So as they took off, they're throwing the money out and he's there collecting all the money. And they got enough to go to the movies and get ice cream.
That was when I met John in 1996. He was still doing a bit of marketing consulting. He'd started actually going out and training a few dogs, but at that stage he was using the methods that he'd learnt years ago. He was very intuitive. He read dogs very well, even back then. And he was finding that his client base was really growing. Thought, well, I've got to have a name. I don't want to be just John Richardson. So he registered Dog Tech that year, and he started off initially by himself, and then he started taking a couple of people in with him. And he thought, well, the way to go with this is to franchise, because he was getting calls from different parts of Sydney, North Shore. He was running around all over the place. So he thought, I can't keep on doing this. So that's why he started franchising.
And what I do is I get down with the dog, and I find that is the best way that I can communicate with the dog. And this is what whispering is all about, is communicating with the dog at a very, very deep level. See how she's starting to quieten down?
Yep. So Kim, what changes have you seen in the short time that John's been here? And Nellie can actually pat her without her jumping on me. John's second appointment while he's in Melbourne is with
In fact, I'm not a trainer myself. And in 2002, we moved up to the Southern Highlands, and I'd had 13 years in corporate law. I needed a change, and John needed somebody to help him with his admin at that stage. He wasn't an admin person at all.
It was a perfect marriage.
Yeah, so he said, look, you've probably only got to, work a couple of days a week and you'll be able to paint and do the things you like to do. And I thought, sounds like a good deal. Of course, that soon changed.
There's a wonderful book out for all animal lovers. You've heard of the horse whisperer. This is the dog whisperer, and the man himself was with us this morning with friend. No applause for our guest because the dog might just get a little excited about the whole thing. John Richardson is here as the dog whisperer. We welcome you, congratulate you, on the book. Now, I hope you only met...
I typed it all up. And, we went over it together sort of to edit it a bit. Obviously, all the input came from John. We burned the midnight oil for quite a few weeks doing that. It's a lot harder than you think.
When I first started off many years ago, over 30 years ago, the system mainly there was to raise your voice to animals and to discipline them to get what you wanted. But the way now is to quietly speak to animals and to use no harsh methods. So animals respond to it a lot better.
You literally whisper to them, do you?
Most certainly, right. I do.
I just want to whisper something to you, John. I said there's no fee.
I believe you.
There's no fee, but good luck with the book. Please thank John Richardson for being here, and also I think we can applaud John now.
Thank you.
I didn't know John in 1992. He'd been working in Australia and overseas. He'd spent quite a lot of time in New Zealand and big marketing things over there, and it was high pressure. He was always been really fit, always used to run every day, and he started to get pains in his chest. So he went to his doctor. He thought maybe he's getting the flu, and she picked up that it was a bit more than that and sent him for an x-ray. Then he was told that he had lung cancer. And at the time, the surgeon thought that both lungs had actually gone and they couldn't do anything for him, which was devastating because he actually felt okay. But, you know, he kept pounding them. He wasn't going to give up that easy. They found that one lung he had cancer, the other just collapsed. So they were able then to save his life. After the operation, it took him 2 years to recover, and he was told he would only have a 5% chance of living 5 years. But in fact, he lived 21 years. You know, with John, he gradually got better, and he was kind enough to say that a lot of his recovery was due to my cooking, because I used to make sure he ate, and you know, because as I said, we got together in 1996, and we got married in 1998, and so I was lucky to really have 18 years with John.
John never mentioned it pretty well to anyone. There was only just one person he spoke to, which he was one of the other trainers, which he was very close to, Olga, and she was helping him a lot. And in actual fact, about 4 or 5 days before, I rang him and spoke to him about something, and I just sensed that there was something wrong, but I did notice over the few months previous he just wasn't looking well, you know. And you'd ask him, and he'd say, "Oh, look, don't you worry about me."
He expected to get better. He was determined to get better. He'd just say to people when they'd ask, "Oh, look, I've got some health issues at the moment. I'm having treatment, but I will be okay." And he just had that positive attitude right the way through. While he was in the hospital in St Vincent's Hospital in Sydney, where he went in December, I walked in one day to visit, and he was talking to a young nurse there, and he'd been concerned about her because she'd apparently been attacked going home one night. So what he was doing, he was showing her some defensive moves in case she got attacked again. And this is while he was in bed in hospital, you know.
Yeah, he's a very, very positive person. What he tried to teach all of us as well, get us to step out of our comfort zone, because the only way that you move forward, otherwise you sit where you are, you never go anywhere.
People would say to me, "Look, I wish I'd known him better." But what they didn't realise is that there was the public persona of John with the business, but privately he didn't discuss his business with people. He had very few very close friends, and that's the way he was.